Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here. We are going to be doing something a little different. Usually I'd be doing my Pokemon Nuzlocke. That's not what we're doing today. We are actually going to be doing an NFL mock draft. The NFL draft is coming up today is the 17th. It's coming up next week on Thursday night. I am excited to be watching that. I will be doing my reactions for the Commanders picks as I did last year. Hopefully I don't think my reactions will be as good as the Jayden Daniels reaction. I was close. I said we're going to the Super Bowl, one game off. We're going to do it this year. So we're just going to do a mock draft. There's going to be 32 teams. No trades because I don't know how. It's really hard to predict trades. We're going to do all 32 picks. This is going to be based on what I think is going to happen more than what I think should happen. So without further ado, let's get into this. I think this is a very good draft. Let me phrase this a little bit better. I think this is a good draft class, but I think it's very middle heavy. I don't think it's very very top heavy. The camera's lagging a lot. That's really annoying. I didn't realize how much it was lagging. Maybe because I have OBS running twice. Is that why? Okay, that should work now. Okay. I think this is a pretty I don't think it's too top heavy, this draft class. I think it's more just I think there's good depth all around, but there are some pieces that aren't as good as others. I think this is a pretty weak quarterback class. Obviously, I think this is a good edge class, more edge later down the line. I think it's a decent tackle class later down the line, a decent corner class later down the line, a decent wide receiver class. There are some pretty good top-end wide receiver class, right wide receivers. I think edge is probably going to be the best position in this draft. I think running back's pretty good. Tight end has a little bit to be desired. Offensive line has a little bit to be desired, but does have some good players like Will Campbell is really good. I don't know why Armand Membo is going so high, but there are a lot of good players. Josh Simmons, I think, is pretty good. Kelvin Banks, I think these guys are all first rounders. But I just think this draft is very unpredictable. I think there's one predictable, one pick that is almost certain. We'll get into that pretty soon. I think you guys all guess what it is. But outside of that, I don't think there's really any certainty of anything. There are a couple of there are few good landing spots for certain players, but we'll see. This will be my official mock draft. Hopefully it's going to be pretty accurate. I'm going to see how many picks I get right. Coming draft night. I don't think I'll live stream the draft. I don't really have a reason to, but yeah. Without further ado, we're going to start this draft off. We are already in the draft. And this is going to be the Tennessee Titans pick, who I think have the most straightforward pick. They're not wide receiver. I clicked the wrong button. That's Tatario McMillan. They are not taking Tatario McMillan number 1 overall. I can tell you that. Number 1 overall pick, in my opinion, is going to be Cam Ward. He's ranked pretty low in this. A lot of the quarterbacks are ranked pretty low, but I think we can see up to 3 quarterbacks in the first round. I think Cam Ward's a for-sure first rounder. I think he's going to be the first overall pick. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be a first rounder. He's fallen a bit down draft boards. Jackson Dart, I think, is going to be a first round pick. I think he's going to be a late first round pick. He might not even get drafted in the first round. We'll see. Same with Jalen Milroe. I think he could be a first round pick, but I think the more likely scenario is that one of the quarterback needy teams would trade back into the first round for him, or they will just wait till the second round to get him. But I think Cam Ward I don't think he's the best player in this class, but I think he's the best quarterback in this class, and that's why I'm going to have the Titans taking Cam Ward at number 1 overall, get their quarterback of the future. He's still pretty raw, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the league. I don't think he's as good as the quarterbacks last year. I think he's probably quarterback 5 or 6. I think he has a chance to get drafted before Bo Nix, but outside of that, I don't think he's going to get beat. I think he'll be good. I'm getting weird. Next up is the Cleveland Browns. Sorry, excuse the coughing. The Cleveland Browns. I think this is where it gets interesting. There are a few options I can see them going. Of course, they need quarterback, but I think they might just wait till next year to draft a quarterback. I don't think they're gonna. I think they know they're not gonna be very good next year. I think Joe Flacco might be doing some stuff. Kenny Pickett might be their starter. I don't know. Deshaun Watson's definitely not gonna be their starter. He's still recovering from torn ACL. But outside of that, I don't think anything crazy is going to happen with the Browns with taking a quarterback or anything. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward pick. I think it's going to be Travis Hunter. I particularly do not care for I'm fine with Travis Hunter. I don't think he's as good as people say he is. He's of course a dual threat player. I don't know. He says he's going to play both sides of the ball in the NFL. I don't know how well that's going to work in college. College is different from the NFL, and he didn't even play 100% of snaps on both sides. It's more like 80-80, I think, on each side. I think in the NFL, he's going to be playing one position more than the other. For the Browns, I think it's wide receiver. Their cornerbacks are pretty good, so I don't see a reason why they would put him at corner too much. I think it's going to be more like 90% wide receiver, 40 to 50% corner, but that's just my take. But I think Travis Hunter is going to go to the Browns. Next up is the Giants. They are in a weird situation. I think they could take QB. They could take what's his face? He's not even on here. He says how low they have him ranked. They could take Shedeur Sanders at 3, but I don't think they're going to. I think Shedeur is going to fall a lot. A lot of teams do not see him as a first round pick. I don't know if the Giants are one of those teams, but the Giants, another team that could say, oh, we're going to be bad next year. Let's just get pieces before we can get our quarterback. It's going to be a much better quarterback class next year. There are a couple options. I think normally if Cam Ward fell to them, they would have taken Cam Ward. But if Travis Hunter fell to them, I think they take Travis Hunter. I just think they're kind of in limbo now. Abdul Carter is obviously a great player, but they don't really need him. They have Myles Garrett. They have some other pieces. They could have... No, that's not, I'm not talking about the Giants. They have Brian Burns, who's arguably a top 10 edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeau can be pretty good. They have a pretty good defensive tackle in Dexter Lawrence. I think they're going to take probably something on the offense, and I think it's going to be tackle. I think it's going to be Will Campbell. I think Evan Neal is going to move into guard. Andrew Thomas, you already have that side bolstered. You could put Will Campbell on the right side, and you're all good. I think offensive line is a huge need for the Giants, and I think they're going to take Will Campbell at number 3. Next up in New England is the New England Patriots. These needs, I do agree with wide receiver, and I actually do agree with all of these. I could see them taking Armand Membo at 12. I could see them taking... I don't think Armand Membo should go this high, but yeah, I would see them. I could see them where the tackles at. I don't think Josh Simmons is going to go as high. I think Kelvin Banks is going to go higher than Josh Simmons, honestly. Even Josh Connerly's going to... I don't know why Gray's able as a tackle. I was thinking at guard. But some of these tackles can play guard. It doesn't really matter too much. I think really what it comes down to for the Patriots is protect Drake May at all costs. They could use a wide receiver, obviously, which honestly, now that I think about it, you can take wide receiver, you can take tackle. I don't have tackle and wide receiver selected. I think, honestly, they're more likely to take a wide receiver. I think Terrio McMillan is going to be the pick here. I think he's arguably the best wide receiver in this class. I don't really want to say Emeka Egbuka is better than him. I like Emeka Egbuka really much, but I don't think he's going to go this high. I think the Patriots are going to take Terrio McMillan at number 3. Give Drake May a new weapon. You can always address... This is a pretty good tackle class. I think once you get deeper, you can just take offensive line as you go deep. Interior offensive line, I don't think is as good as tackle. I don't know if it is. Tyler Booker, I don't know why they have him at 47. I think Tyler Booker is going to be a first rounder. There's another Ohio State tackle because he's projected to play guard. A lot of these tackles I think are going to play guard. Like I think who is it? Donovan Jackson's going to play guard. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This isn't what the Patriots are taking Terrio McMillan here, and that's going to be the pick at number 4. Now the Jacksonville Jaguars are also another tough situation. Can go a multitude of things. Do they take Abdul Carter? I don't think they should. They already have two great edge rushers, Josh Allen and what's his face? They got Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker hasn't. I don't think he's lived up to the hype, but I don't think he's bad either. I think really, I think the Jags are pretty much set on offense unless you want to throw Travis Etienne under the bus and take Ashton Jeanty, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're more likely to take a guy like Mason Graham or probably just Mason Graham. I don't think there's really any other position. They obviously could take a tackle. I don't think they'll take a tackle this high. They could take another wide receiver, but I don't think that's also going to happen this high. I don't think Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka is going to be that high. Matthew Golden's not going to go that high. I think it's honestly just going to end up being Mason Graham at number 5 overall, and I think that's pretty good. They could use a defensive tackle, so Mason Graham it is at number 5. Next up, if we ever get this Mason Graham pick rolling, we have the Raiders. This is interesting. I'm surprised I haven't taken Abdul Carter yet. I think it's going to go off the board soon, though. I think, honestly, the Raiders are going to end up taking Ashton Jeanty here. I don't really agree that they should. I think they should honestly take Abdul Carter over Ashton Jeanty, if I'm being 100% honest. But I think they're just pretty much set on Ashton Jeanty. I don't know why, but I guess they're going to go with Ashton Jeanty, number 6 overall. I don't have much explanation for that pick. Next up is the Jets. Do they continue their streak of taking a defensive lineman like every single draft? Who did they take last year? Was Will McDonald last year or was it the year before? I don't remember. It might have been Will McDonald. I don't remember. I don't remember when Will McDonald's drafted. They took someone weird last year, I feel like. Oh no, they took the one tackle. I don't think they take tackle. What do I think they take edge? I think, honestly, the Jets are... Actually, this is an interesting one. I think the Jets could go off a multitude of things. I don't think edge rusher's the play for them. They might take Armand Membo at 7. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't think you take Walter Nolan this high. You might take a gander of Shedeur, but I don't know if you are. When you have Justin Fields, I feel like I'm hyping up Justin Fields more than I need to. But I don't think they're going to take a QB this high. I think, honestly, it's going to be Armand Membo here. That feels like a Jets pick, honestly, though. Their offensive line is not good. Tyron Smith is retired. He's not going to be there. Is Morgan Moses on their team? Yeah, he's on there. They have Morgan Moses, who's really not a guy you want to have too hot. Really have as your, at this point in his career, as your right or left tackle. Of course, they have Olu Fashanu, but I think it's going to take Armand Membo here at number 7 overall. Next up, the Carolina Panthers, and we're going to see our first edge rusher off the board. I think this is the perfect landing spot for Abdul Carter, honestly. I don't know why. He just feels like a Panther, and that's why we're going to take Abdul Carter at number 8 overall. The Panthers. He's such a great player. They're getting incredible value, taking probably the best player in this draft at number 8 overall. I don't think that's unpopular to say Abdul Carter is the best player of this draft. Next up, the New Orleans Saints. I think this is a Shedeur Sanders landing spot. That's not where quarterback is. I think this is where Shedeur Sanders is going to go. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a top 5. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a first-round talent. But I've seen him mocked at the Saints a lot. I feel like the Saints could take a quarterback. Derek Carr is probably going to be out for most of the season, and I think he could be a good mentor for Shedeur. Honestly, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be pick number 9 for the Saints. I think he's a guaranteed first-rounder, Shedeur. I don't think really where else would he go outside of maybe the Steelers. I don't think the Saints really have a problem taking him here. Next up is the Chicago Bears. There are a lot of options. D-line is an option. Running back's an option. Really, I think those are the 2 main places. Maybe tackle they could take. Do you take Kelvin Banks this high, though? I don't know. Or Josh Simmons or anybody this high? I don't really think so. I think, honestly, you're going to take an edge rusher, and that's going to be Jahad Campbell. I know he's listed as a linebacker, but he plays more as he's probably projected to be an edge rusher in the NFL. He's a great player, a great athlete, great all of that. And I think the Bears are lacking an edge rusher outside of Montez Sweat, who wasn't really productive last year. And I think Jahad Campbell is really good enough player to be there. Next up is the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is where we see another tackle beat. I think this is where we see the next tackle be taken. I don't see it. I don't really think they take corner. They could take Jahdae Barron. Who are the corners in this class? I don't know why Jahdae Barron is now projected to be so high. I think Will Johnson should still be higher than this. These corners have really fallen. Azariah Thomas, I think, is a first rounder. Shavon Revel should be a first rounder. Jacob Parrish plays like a first rounder, but he's not going to be. There are a lot of players that could be. They could go with a corner. I think they're more likely to go with tackle, though. I think the tackles, we're going to start seeing them go on a run soon. I think the Dolphins are most likely going to take one. I think the Cardinals could take one. I don't think the Colts could take one. I could see the Seahawks taking one, at least taking offensive lineman. I think the 49ers are going to take Kelvin Banks. I think Kelvin Banks is the better player than Josh Simmons. I could see either of them going either place. But I think Kelvin Banks is going to be the pick at 11 to the 49ers because they are needing tackle a lot. I don't really think they go anywhere else. Let's take Kelvin Banks at number 11 overall. Next up is the Dallas Cowboys. This is going to be another interesting team. They have a lot of pieces they could take. They could take running back. I don't think they take a Morgan Hampton this high. They could take wide receiver. We could see our second and a half wide receiver come off the board. And if it's going to be somebody, I think the Cowboys are going to probably take a wide receiver here, if anything. I don't think they could take Mike Green. I think that's an option too. I think it's between edge rusher and wide receiver, and I think it's more likely to be a wide receiver. I think a lot of teams can just think about going into this draft and say, there are good edge rushers down the board. We can wait on an edge rusher. And I think the Cowboys are going to be like that. They're going to take a wide receiver. And I think they're going to take Matthew Golden as the second receiver at the board at 12. He's risen a lot of draft boards. I'm impressed with Matthew Golden. I was hoping he would fall to 29 to the Commanders. He and Emeka Egbuka have been two players I really like. But I think Matthew Golden's going to go to number 12 to the Cowboys. Next up is the Miami Dolphins. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. They need help. Protect Tua at all costs. He is your franchise quarterback. I think it's easily Josh Simmons at number 13 overall. Need a tackle. Teron Armstead, I think, retired. I don't know if he did or not. But they do need help on the offensive line. They could take corner as well. They are shopping Jalen Ramsey. But I think tackle's more important than corner. So we're going to take Josh Simmons to the Dolphins. Next up is the Indianapolis Colts. I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think this is going to be Tyler Warren. I've seen that they really like Tyler Warren, at least that's what I've heard. I think Colston Loveland's a better tight end, but I think Tyler Warren is the tight end that people want more. So the Colts will be taking Tyler Warren at number 14 overall. Next up is the Atlanta Falcons. They need edge rusher really badly. They should have taken one last year, Michael Penix. I actually think Michael Penix now is a good pick. It wasn't at the time, but yeah. I think it's either going to be Mike Green or I think it might just be Mike Green. Who is Omar Norman Lott? I don't know who that is. I think Mike Green is going to be the next. It could be Shamar Stewart. It could be Michael Williams. I think, though, it's more likely to be Mike Green. I think he's going to go pretty high. So they need edge rusher. They don't have much there. So I think Mike Green's going to be the pick here at number 15 overall to the Atlanta Falcons. Next up's the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is where Jahdae Barron's going to go. I could either see him or Will Johnson going next, being the next corner off the board. Will they be the first corner off the board? They might be. Because Travis Hunter's gone off the board. He's really been the only person. I think Jahdae Barron's going to go, number 16, to the Arizona Cardinals. They could use a corner. They don't have much there. They could also use D-line, but I think Jahdae Barron's just going to be more. I think corner is more of a luxury in this draft class than defensive end. And so Jahdae Barron, number 16 of the Cardinals. The Cincinnati Bengals need defensive help, and no matter what. I think edge rusher is going to be their pick here. It could see Walter Nolan going this high. I think, honestly, though, it's going to be Mykel Williams to the... Where's Mykel Williams? He's down here. He should be higher on this thing, but I think Mykel Williams is going to go to 17 to the Bengals. I think Mykel Williams is a really good... Wait a second. I forgot about Shamar Stewart. I think, honestly, though, I think Shamar Stewart's going to be the better player than... more likely to go there. We're going to go Shamar Stewart at 17. I think you look at Shamar Stewart, he's a great player, great athlete. That was bad. The only problem is you look at his production, he hasn't had production. That's the problem. But stats as a defensive end is not everything. Pressures are important. Tackles for loss are important. How well can you stop the run is important. So Shamar Stewart, I think, is going to be that pick for the Bengals at 17 overall to be their pick for their edge rusher. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks. They need O-line incredibly bad, mainly interior. Could be Tyler Booker going this high. I think, honestly, you could put Donovan Jackson there. I've already said that. Marcus Mabeau. Yeah, you just heard an ESPN notification. You can see Marcus Mabeau moving the guard. Wyatt Milam can move the guard. I just think it's going to be... But I think the best interior offensive lineman in this class is Tyler Booker. No doubt. Interior is a big need. Of course, they have good tackles. But outside of that, they do need help on the interior. So Tyler Booker will be pick 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. Tampa. Tampa's a team I really haven't thought about who they're going to pick. Saying edge, they said they need defense. I don't see why not. Their offense is pretty good. They could use some help on defense, though. They are losing a lot of DBs. Carlton Davis was not on the Buccaneers last year. Did Jamel Dean go someplace? Doesn't matter. I think they take corner. I think Will Johnson is the perfect pick for the Bucs is going to be Will Johnson at 19 overall. Next up is the Denver Broncos. I think we're going to see our second running back off the board, and that's going to be Omarion Hampton. I think we do see two running backs in the first round, and I think Omarion Hampton's going to be the second one. I think he's late 20s. I think he's in the 20s you pick him. The Broncos need a running back. Their wide receivers are actually pretty decent. Same with their tight end. Something happened to the Dallas Mavericks CBO. I have to look and see what that is. But I think the Broncos could use a running back. Omarion Hampton's a pretty good running back. He's just seems like a good pick for the Broncos, honestly. Next up is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who do not have a quarterback, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be doing anything. So they're going to go with Jackson Dart. They need a quarterback. That's literally my only answer for this. They are good everywhere else. Tackle maybe could use some work, but I think Jackson Dart's the pick here. Running back, they do need a running back, but they still got Jaylen Warren. I just think that Jackson Dart, they need a quarterback. Even if Aaron Rodgers does come to Pittsburgh, he can still be a mentor for Jackson Dart. Maybe Aaron Rodgers has one more year left in him, and he could just help Jackson Dart develop. Next up, I almost called them the Arizona Chargers. It's the Los Angeles Chargers. I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think this is going to be Colston Loveland. They do need a tight end. I don't know who their tight end is currently, but Michigan guy, they have Jim Harbaugh as their coach. They do need weapons for Justin Herbert to make him but more than just a what-if quarterback. So that's what we're going to do. Colston Loveland at 22 to the LA Chargers. The Packers. In a very interesting position. Wide receiver, edge they need, corner they need. That's what I think honestly, there are two options here, and those are going to be Luther Burden and Donovan Ezeraku. I honestly think if you're going to take a player, it's going to be if you're going to take a player here, I think it's wide receiver. Their wide receiver core is the most mid wide receiver core ever. It's not a mid does not mean bad. Mid means average. Just to make that clear, they have a bunch of number 2s and number 3s on their team. Luther Burden is the number 1 on that team if they take him. Luther Burden 23, I think is going to be the pick here. I really like Luther Burden, and I think he's a good fit for the Packers. Speaking of NFC North teams that made the playoffs last year and lost in the first round, we have the Minnesota Vikings. This could be an interesting pick. Running back, I think it's too late to pick one. Interior defensive line, they could take Walter Nolan, pair of Jonathan Allen. That could be a great pair. DB could be an interesting decision as well. Malachi Starks, possibly. They do need to replace Cam Bynum. And Harrison Smith doesn't have the rest of his life left, has maybe a couple good years, has a year or two left in him. I think Malachi Starks is a very good player, and I think he's a very good pick for the Minnesota Vikings. So Malachi Starks to the Vikings is going to be the pick here. They do need help on that defensive back room. Corners decent, I would say, but they do need defensive back. They do need safety pretty badly. The Houston Texans, this pick should be nothing but offensive line. I do need to go find the offensive lineman because I don't know who's left for offensive lineman. Offensive tackle and interior line. They have nobody on that interior. They signed Laken Tomlinson, I think. Was that them or somebody else? I don't remember. I think Josh Connerly is going to be the pick here. They no more Laramie Tunsil, and the rest of that offensive line is really bad. They do need somebody horribly. So Josh Connerly is going to be the pick. Protect C.J. Stroud. Don't let him get killed. Next up is the L.A. Rams. This is also a pretty interesting pick, I think. There are a couple options they could take. They have tight end listed here. Their wide receiver room is... Actually, I forgot they have Devontae Adams. They might not take wide receiver. I would normally put Emeka Egbuka here, but I don't think he's going to go to the Rams. They could take him, though, but they do have a pretty good wide receiver room. Honestly, let's take a look quickly. Tackle, they're not going to take. Linebacker, not really. Corner. I could see a guy looking at corners. I could see a guy like Benjamin Morrison going here. Trey Amos could go. Maxwell Hairston could go. I think Maxwell Hairston's a bit of a stretch there. But Benjamin Morrison go pretty high to the Rams. Honestly, I said no to wide receiver earlier. I think wide receiver is the pick here. I think it's going to be Emeka Egbuka. I don't know who else. I don't really know any other. I think he's the best wide receiver left. He's the best wide receiver left. I don't think Alec Iomanner is going to be a first rounder. I don't see anyone who would take Alec Iomanner. I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be. I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be the best wide receiver in this draft class who start the season. At the start of the season, and he could be the best wide receiver from this draft class altogether. I think he's the most proven wide receiver, and I think he's going to be a very good player for whatever team drafts him, and that's going to be the LA Rams in this case. Next up, I think we're going to see a string of edge rushers going off, and that's starting with the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is a very easy. Donovan Ezraku spot. I think he has potential to be the best edge rusher in this class. You might even say Donovan Ezraku is the most NFL-ready edge rusher in this draft class to start out. I think all the edge rushers could be pretty good, but I think Donovan Ezraku is just really good and could be the next edge rusher off the board and be really good. Yeah. Next up is James Pierce Jr. The Lions are taking James Pierce Jr. They also need edge. I know Aiden Hutchinson, they have him, but they do need help as well. He's he got injured last year, and you got to make sure that defense is bolstered. Because really, who else do you have outside of Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive lineman and defensive line? Do not tell me Aleem McNeil is an elite defensive tackle. He's not. He's okay. But that other side of the edge, that other edge rusher, who's it going to be? It's not going to be Zadarius Smith anymore. It's got to be a good edge rusher. I think James Pierce. I said Donovan Ezraku was the most NFL ready. I think James Pierce is the most NFL ready. I think he's going to be really good. There are some character concerns, But the Lions feel like a team that could fix that very easily. So that's going to go to the Lions at 28. The Washington Commanders. I think they also need an edge rusher. I could see them also going corner. Either Trey Amos. I could see Maxwell Harrison going. I could see Savone Revel going up here. But I think we're going to get an edge rusher at number 29. And that's going to be either Mykel Williams or Nick Scorton. I honestly think Mykel Williams is seen as a better player. So I'm having Mykel Williams go at number 29 to the Commanders. One of my favorite players in this draft. I really would like him to fall to us. And I think he will at 29. So Mykel Williams will go to the Commanders at 29. Next up is the Buffalo Bills. I think they have some issues on the defensive line. Edge could be the pick, but there aren't really any great edge rushers on the board right now. Nick Scorton, I could potentially say, is going in the first round. But outside of that, I honestly think if you're going to take a player, you're going to take interior defensive line, and you're going to take Walter Nolen at 30. Just a great player. I say this a lot. I say this as playing him in college football 25 a lot. But he's a great player. I don't see why else he would go. I don't see why he's not going to be a first rounder. I can honestly see him get picked higher. He's a great player. I think he's best player available too for the Bills at 30, unless you want to call Kenneth Grant the best player available. But I think he's going to go at 30 to the Buffalo Bills. Next up is 31, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we can see offensive, usually guard or tackle, honestly. Who's their... They do actually need tackle. Honestly, I think Gray Zabel is going to be a great player for the Chiefs. They need a tackle. Gray Zabel's really good for being an FCS player. I think he'll be the first FCS player off the board. And he can be a pretty good tackle. I think he can be a day one starter, especially for the Chiefs, who really don't have a great tackles. I know they have... Do they still have Jawan Taylor? I don't know. But you can do better than Jawan Taylor. They still have Kingsley Suamataia, who could be a good who can still be that right tackle, but they do need a left tackle. I don't think Suamataia is going to be a left tackle in the league. And I think Gray Zabel can be that spot. He's going to go to 31 to the Kansas City Chiefs. And last but totally not least is the Philadelphia Eagles. There could be a couple options they could take. They could take linebacker, they could take Jalen Walker, but I don't think they do. Defensive tackle isn't as much of a need. I think really wide receiver is a need. They do have a pretty good wide receiver room. Guard, not so much. I honestly think edge or corner is the best option. And it's either going to be Trey Amos and Nick Scorton. And I think it's going to be, or Benjamin Morrison. But I think Nick Scorton, edge is more of a need for them than corner. They lost Josh Sweat. I don't know who else they have. They have, what's the guy from Georgia? I'm forgetting his name. But I think Nick Scorton's going to be the pick at 32 to the Philadelphia Eagles. And that will be the end of the draft. And they're going to say the grades. I don't care about the grades. My grades are... I don't like PFF grades on these players. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If this ever loads, that'll be nice. I want to go recap this. Okay. This is slow. Load. Please. Here's our mock draft. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Tatario McMillan, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Armand Membo, Abdul Carter, Shedeur Sanders, Jihad Campbell, Kelvin Banks, Matthew Golden, Josh Simmons, Tyler Warren, Mike Green, Jahdae Barron, Shamar Stewart, Tyler Booker, Will Johnson, Amarian Hampton, Jackson Dart, Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Malachi Starks, Josh Connolly, Emeka Egbuka, Donovan Ezeraku, James Pierce Jr., Mykel Williams, Walter Nolen, Gray Zabel, and Nick Scorton. I think this is a pretty good mock draft, and I'll compare my results to the actual draft. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave any disagreements or debate in the comments on some of these picks. But until next time, I'll see you all later. Take it easy.